Ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge. A scientific man ought to have no wishes, no affections, a mere heart of stone. False facts are highly injurious to the progress of science, for they often endure long. The very essence of instinct is that it's followed independently of reason. A moral being is one who is capable of reflecting on his past actions and their motives. Nothing is easier than to admit in words the truth of the universal struggle for life. How paramount the future is to the present when one is surrounded by children. The highest form of intelligence is the ability to observe without judgment. The power to cause pain is the only power that endures. The more one studies, the more one feels how little one knows. The more adapted the organism, the less likely it is to notice its adaptiveness. A man's friendships are one of the best measures of his worth. The formation of a just theory is the highest end to which man can aspire. I am not apt to follow blindly the lead of other men. Much love, much trial, but what an utter desert is life without love. The very essence of instinct is that it's followed independently of reason. When it comes to the survival of the fittest, mental acuity often outweighs physical strength. I feel no remorse for having committed my life to a singular pursuit. If I had my life to live over again, I would have made a rule to read some poetry and listen to some music at least once every week. A fair result can be obtained only by fully stating and balancing the facts and arguments on both sides of each question. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. The love for all living creatures is the most noble attribute of man. A man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. We stopped looking for monsters under our bed when we realized that they were inside us. The mystery of the beginning of all things is insoluble by us. The highest possible stage in moral culture is when we recognize that we ought to control our thoughts. Freedom of thought is best promoted by the gradual illumination of men's minds, which follows from the advance of science. To kill an error is as good a service as, and sometimes even better than, the establishing of a new truth. In the long history of humankind, those who learn to collaborate and improvise most effectively have prevailed. Blushing is the most peculiar and most human of all expressions. There is grandeur in this view of life, with its several powers having been originally breathed into a few forms or into one. I see no good reason why the views given in this volume should shock the religious sensibilities of anyone. Man selects only for his own good, nature only for that of the being which she tends. The difference in mind between man and the higher animals, great as it is certainly one of degree and not of kind. The survival of the fittest implies more than mere brute strength. Even people who want to appear to have a purpose in life really have none. The war of nature is not a thing of beauty, but a thing of necessity. We can allow satellites, planets, suns, universe, nay, whole systems of universes, to be governed by laws. I am turned into a sort of machine for observing facts and grinding out conclusions. The man who marches to the music in his head hears a drummer far away. If the misery of the poor be caused not by the laws of nature but by our institutions, great is our sin. We are always slow in admitting any great change of which we do not see the intermediate steps. What a book a devil's chaplain might write on the clumsy, wasteful, blundering, low, and horribly cruel works of nature. Man tends to increase at a greater rate than his means of subsistence. Communities that include the most sympathetic members flourish best. It is a cursed evil to any man to become as absorbed in any subject as I am in mine. In the survival of favored individuals and races, during the constantly recurring struggle for existence, we see a powerful and ever-acting form of selection. Great is the power of steady misrepresentation. Do what you can, with what you have, where you are. A man's own mind is his greatest enemy or his greatest friend.